Welcome back. We're going to go over details fans just have to know for the next season of Virgin River. The first question that we absolutely need to know is who shot Jack and then proceeded to burn his home. Next up, we'll ponder how Hope will recover, and we wonder what will happen with the twins that will be born soon and who their actual father is. Then we'll take a look into questions surrounding Doc's grandson. Lastly, we'll finish up with unanswered questions about Preacher and what will happen. First up, let's see who shot Jack and then proceeded to burn his home. Fans were left hanging about whether or not Jack survived in the season 2 finale. Although he made it to season 3, there's still a lot of unanswered questions regarding who shot him. It's clear someone in Virgin River or Clear River has beef with him, especially if his house was burned after he was shot. Fans feel it's about time that we got answers about each incident. We know Brady got apprehended for shooting Jack, but it's pretty unlikely he's the perp. There's some ongoing speculation that Mark and Todd are involved. Jack recalls Brady being at the bar the night he got shot. Let's not forget that Mike found a gun in his car, so it'd be easy to put the blame on Brady. But there's also clues that point to Brady having nothing to do with it. It's possible it could be the work of Mike and fellow newcomer Todd. Mike could want Jack dead because of his split with Charmaine and her announcement that Jack was father to her twins. And when Jack told Mike the news, he seemed shocked and concerned about their split rather than the pregnancy. It was after his reaction that fans started to believe Mike could be the father to the twins. Jack seems to be doing everything he can to be part of his kid's life, while Mike, on the other hand, could be plotting a way to off Jack. So how does Todd tie into the theory? Say Mike did want Jack dead, but doesn't want to risk pulling the trigger himself. Not much is known about Todd, other than the fact that he has a rich lifestyle and has worked as a successful lawyer. Is it possible he could somehow be a high-up person of means or even a hitman? The timeline could add up, being that they met around the same time of Jack's shooting. Next, we ponder the fate of Hope. In season 3, we didn't see much of Hope, but we came to find out that was due to COVID. At the end of the 3rd season, we see Hope headed back to town for Lily's funeral. On her way, she ended up in a horrific car crash that resulted in brain damage that left her in a coma. Tenny gave the news that Hope won't die in the show anytime soon. Instead, in season 4, we'll see Hope's recovery and her getting back into the flow of things. Tenny said, "To us, it's the recovery and what she's dealing with, a traumatic brain injury. In a hospital and going through recovery, that's not really where our show lives, but we're very committed to what the truth of something is. So we'll go to the edge of what's the best recovery for this. We always stick with the parameters medically, but also we know at this point what we like to do, which are complicated, emotionally drama-based stories. It's even rumored that Hope will develop a friendship with an unlikely character. That person is Muriel. It seems the two women will connect in an unexpected way upon returning to Virgin River. We also get some confirmation that Hope will be okay due to the fact Netflix shared a behind-the-scenes video that featured a few cast members, and the actress who plays Hope was in it too. The caption for the video reads, "Hope and all the ladies, it's a wrap for all on season 4. Although Netflix hasn't given any hints regarding her storyline, it was a good enough clue for now. Next up, let's see what will happen with the twins and who the real father is. During season 3, a lot of viewers were expecting to see Charmaine's babies to be born. In addition, some were hoping that we'd get an answer as to who the father is, and it may not be Jack. But fans were shocked to see Charmaine still pregnant, and she hardly looked it, which was confusing. Maybe in the next season, we can hope to see the twins being born. Jack may be going through a lengthy and frustrating custody battle if Todd ends up being the father. There's even speculation that Mike could be the dad. Why Mike, you say? Let's go back to season 1, when Charmaine had first told Jack she was pregnant with his kids. He seemed completely taken by surprise since the pair wasn't together. Then when Jack tells Mike he is just as shocked. Back then it didn't seem like a big deal, but then again, maybe it had nothing to do with Jack. Or could it have been a secret affair he had with Charmaine? Charmaine may have some things to explain. It's a real head scratcher for fans, and with Netflix not budging on hints, the need to know just grows. Now let's look into Doc's grandson. Doc's grandson, Denny Cutler, was introduced to us in the season 3 finale. He's apparently come to Virgin River in order to connect with his grandfather, who he recently learned existed. But what some don't know is that Denny has dark secrets of his own. But wait, the plot thickens, as some fans think Denny could be Doc's grandson and a product of the affair Doc had with Charmaine's mother. That's right. Could Denny be Charmaine's long-lost brother? He's Doc's supposed grandson, but could he in fact be Doc's son? A clue that feeds into this theory is when Denny comes to town, he goes to a bed and breakfast. Upon showing up to the B&B, the owner, Joe Ellen, asked for ID, even though he insisted he was 19, but reluctantly gave up his ID. Once he handed over his ID to the owner, Joe noticed he was from Seattle and commented on it, saying they had a friend who lived there. Joe asked him why he was there, and he said to meet someone, and she came to find out Denny was Vernon's grandson. Is it possible Charmaine knows about Denny, or will she be just as shocked to learn about him as others will be? The mystery of not knowing grows. Could he be Hope and Doc's kid they put up for adoption? The theories are ever growing, but the coming of this character could end up being completely different from any other theory that's formed. What will happen to Preacher? Preacher is another big significant character in the show, and he co-owns Jack's bar. There was a bit of tension between Preacher and Jack within the first few seasons. Even though the two of them straighten things out, Preacher's personal life is still messy. He comes to find himself in the midst of a kidnapping on top of an accidental murder. So what can we expect to happen with him in the next season? Well, we know a woman who claimed she was a friend of Paige was working with Vince, who was Wes's twin, and when Connie and Christopher arrive home, Vince is waiting for them in the dark. Even though things seem hopeless, I wouldn't count Preacher out just yet. He's a retired Marine, and he could easily snap back and get himself out of the situation. During the season 3 finale, we see Preacher drugged and left to die in the woods. This doing is more than likely tied to Paige, who has oddly been MIA ever since she left her son. Preacher has been uneasy and unable to take his focus off of Christopher. Vince, who is Wes's twin, keeps threatening to take away the child because Preacher isn't the legal guardian and because Paige never got full custody in the first place. There is another theory that Preacher getting drugged is just a distraction. This is due to the fact that the only one standing in between Vince and Christopher is Preacher. It's likely Vince hired a person to lead Preacher in the woods and then drug him. If he was drugged, he wouldn't be able to take the kid from Preacher. There you have it, Virgin River fans. The need-to-knows we want answered. First, we touched on who shot Jack as well as who burned down his house. Afterwards, we wondered what could happen to Hope in the next season. Then we questioned a few theories on who the twins' father really is. We then looked into a few speculations as to who Doc's grandson really is, and to wrap up, we questioned what happened to Preacher. We last saw him in a vulnerable state. Let us know what you think will happen in the next season. Do you share any of the same theories? Stay tuned for the new season when we get some of our most pressing questions answered.